In this episode, I present two true paranormal mysteries that I found in old newspapers. Welcome to Audio Stories of the Paranormal. You can always find us at www.theaudiostories.com. I'm J.B. Simeon. Thank you very much for joining me for this episode. Okay, let's learn something. The Pittsburgh Press, August 22nd, 1905. Haunted tunnel where trainmen hear agonizing groans and strange noises. The people living along the rail line of the Clinch Valley Extension of the Norfolk and Western Railway in southwestern Virginia are upset over the manifestations in the Big Bull Tunnel. The tunnel is in Virginia, but it's not far from the Kentucky border. According to reliable Virginian in Washington, who has recently visited that section, Norfolk and Western trainmen have recently witnessed or heard ghostly demonstrations. It is known that 2 workers died in the Big Bull. One man was scalped in 1901. Another fell off a train in 1904. People living in the neighborhood of the tunnel have for years asserted that it was haunted. About 2 weeks ago, a train crew made a careful investigation of the tunnel. All of them, including the conductor, R.H. Galloway, and the engineer, Rube Kearns, are satisfied that there is some sort of occupant of the tunnel. They call it a ghost. For the past 2 years, railway men have heard a great deal from the residents living near the tunnel about the strange sounds and hair-raising noises coming from the tunnel, but the railway companies did nothing. Then, on the afternoon of July 17, a freight train in the charge of conductor Galloway and engineer Kearns stopped just as the caboose cleared the tunnel. John Peary of Tazewell County, the flagman, hastened back into the tunnel to protect the train from a collision. Peary did not stay in the tunnel long. When he returned to the train, he declared that he had heard sounds in the tunnel which no human being could stand. He had the appearance of a man badly scared. Galloway and Kearns went back into the tunnel with him. When they reached the point where Peary said he had heard the sounds that rattled him, the trio stopped. According to all 3 men, they did not have to wait long. The men say they never heard such groans as those that proceeded from the side of the tunnel, which is brick. The voice, they said, was that of a man in anguish. Upon hearing the voice, the men felt chills coursing down their spines. Finally, Captain Galloway demanded, "What do you want?" "Remove that awful weight from my body," said the voice, which seemed to come from the solid wall of brick. It was a minute before the men could whisper a word to each other. Then the voice said, "They are drinking my blood." The trainmen could stand it no longer. They hurried back to their train. Upon reflection, they thought that someone had found a hiding space in the tunnel and was playing a practical joke on them. They returned and examined the walls of the tunnel. They discovered that there was not a break in the brick which lined the sides of the tunnel and the top of the tunnel, so there were no hiding spots. Before this incident, Captain Judd Hall, who assisted in arching the tunnel about 2 years earlier, maintains that the tunnel was haunted, or at least he believes that sounds may be heard in the tunnel which are not susceptible to explanation. A number of trainmen are making arrangements to investigate the situation further. The story that the 3 trainmen have related here is considered credible. Today, the tunnel is still in use, and it's still believed to be haunted. The Quebec Saturday Budget, December 18, 1886. A haunted ship, strange sounds and alleged sights in a murdered mate's cabin. The sale of the ship Squando, which is currently wrecked at Bathurst, has been postponed. It's very difficult to get men to work on her, especially at night. Some queer noises were heard in the cabin of the vessel last week, which no one can explain. The men believe the vessel is haunted. There seems to be some fatality about the vessel. When the Squando was in San Francisco some years ago, the captain and his wife murdered the first mate. The captain's wife and the first mate had conducted a long-time love affair. The wife, for some reason, confessed her infidelity to the husband. As a condition for reconciliation of the marriage, the captain demanded that his wife help him kill the first mate. The wife tricked the first mate into drinking excessively. When he was too drunk to defend himself, she held him down while her husband severed his head completely from his body with an axe. They tossed the head and body overboard. The next morning, they were surprised when the first mate's headless corpse floated to the surface of San Francisco Bay near the ship for all to see. Now, it's unclear how they were discovered to be the murderers. However, the captain was hung, and his wife got a long prison sentence. The fatalities continued. The new captain was subsequently killed during a mutiny. The two following captains, each in their turn, died aboard the vessel. It was alleged by the captain and the crew who brought the ship to Bathurst that she was haunted. They abandoned the ship as a group upon arrival. As the story of her haunting spread, the owners found it was nearly impossible to raise a new crew. The Norwegian Council hired 2 watchmen to look after the vessel. However, one night on board was too much for those men. They alleged that they saw a headless man walking in the cabin. They claimed that their bedclothes were pulled off of them. Also, they claimed that handspikes were flying around the deck. They claimed that a cold, clammy hand was laid on their face and a voice told them to depart the ship. Subsequent watchmen say that they saw a small boat manned by 4 men hovering around the ship. The small boat had the power of appearing and disappearing at will. The vessel is now without a watchman because none can be found willing to stay on board during the night. The Minister of Customs has ordered an investigation. Although the ship was eventually salvaged in the 19th century, stories persist to this day that the Squando has been seen emerging from the fog in San Francisco Bay as a phantom ship. Okay, you paranormals, that ends our stories. If you all have a comment on any of the experiences shared, or you want to share a paranormal experience of your own, please email me at feedback@theaudiostories.com. That concludes this episode of the Audio Stories of the Paranormal. Thank you again for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed this experience and that you will join me again for the next episode. Until then, please remember, be aware, be cautious, and take care.